cualquiera que está metido en la terapia es el pan de cada día, cualquiera que esté metido en religión es cosa del pan de cada día. Me refiero a la idea de purificarse, la idea de mirar aquello que a uno le sobra, eso lo que uno siente, que en realidad no es uno mismo, es las cosas que a uno se le han pegado. Mirar el mal para después ir curándolo. En la terminología hindú lo que se purifica es el karma. En la terminología cristiana lo que se purifica es el pecado. Pero es la misma cosa, es el peso del pasado, ¿no? El karma es las cosas que hemos hecho mal en el pasado que siguen pesándonos hoy. Tiene mucho que ver la purificación con el perdón. El perdón que uno mismo pueda darse, para estar en paz con uno mismo, la aceptación, que eso ya se habló, el perdón colectivo, el perdón del otro, o el otro que uno imagina, y el perdón divino. En un momento de la vida tiene que perdonar a los padres, tiene que entenderlos, y entender lo que pasó fue la única manera que podía ser. Estamos en un mundo causal y que todo tiene, estas cadenas de causa-efecto son tales que no puede uno desperdiciar el resto de las energías de la vida, estar siempre reclamando de lo que le pasó en los primeros años. Pero uno no puede fácilmente llegar a perdonar mientras no increpa y insulta y acusa suficientemente, porque uno no puede descubrir lo que a uno le ha pasado profundamente mientras no rompe ese tabú de echar la culpa. Cuando Dante escribió el Purgatorio en la Divina Comedia, no sé cuántos de ustedes hayan leído el Purgatorio, muy poca gente lee el Purgatorio. El infierno se lee más, porque es más entretenido el infierno, claro. Pero el Purgatorio son 9 círculos en una montaña, cada círculo está más alto que el otro, la fuerza de gravedad llega cada vez menos, porque está más lejos de la Tierra, la gente ya empieza a flotar mientras va más purificada. Y se van recorriendo, empezando por el orgullo, los distintos pecados, son 9 purgatorios, los 7 pecados clásicos más otros 2, que siempre agrega Dante, 9 infiernos, 9 purgatorios, 9 cielos, y cada círculo del purgatorio que entra son 3 peldaños que debe ascender, un peldaño negro, que corresponde al reconocimiento de los pecados, y luego uno rojo, que es la contrición, el arrepentimiento, y uno blanco, que es la reparación y purificación propiamente tal, ¿no? Que es lo que uno hace para quedarse limpio. Y uno, al entrar, Dante ha recorrido ya el infierno, o sea, ya ha vivido los pecados profundamente, los ha mirado. ¿Y por qué ahora purgatorio? Porque hay el pecado, pero hay el residuo del pecado. ¿Ves? Una cosa, aunque uno esté desidentificado, pero hay la huella que han dejado los actos de nosotros mismos, los automatismos, los hábitos, ¿no? Entonces eso también tiene que ser reparado a través de un esfuerzo de ir contra la corriente, de crear hábitos nuevos. Son distintos paisajes los que cada persona necesita atravesar para llegar a la misma cumbre en que deja su carácter atrás. Y según qué carácter es el que uno ha dejado atrás, experimentará la cumbre de otra manera, vivirá la cumbre, aunque sea la misma cumbre, de una perspectiva diferente desde la experiencia que lleva.
I understand the spiritual path as one that comes from the common world to heaven. We all want to, when we're young, we want to get to heaven. And some come to heaven in life. That's people who have a mystical experience. In my own path, I have had that fortune. I wrote an autobiography that has not been published, and I call it Up and Down the Holy Mountain. when I came to that mountain top, I thought that was the Mount Sinai of my life. I think we all have potentially a Mount Sinai. It's in our human potential to come to the highest point and meet spiritual consciousness and get in some way fecundated by the Spirit. And then we come down the other side of the mountain, so to say. We come back down, but it's not so fast. It's not so easy to come down. It's harder to come down than it is to go up. It takes much more time. And this is very wisely expressed by the story of the Old Testament when it talks about 40 years in the desert. After Mount Sinai, the people who have left Egypt behind, who have left the Pharaoh, which is the controlling ego, behind, who have left behind the early conditionings of life, this chosen people, which are symbolic of our inner journey, spend a lot of time in a time of arid life. That's what St. John of the Cross described. It's normal after meeting God to be exposed to dryness, a time of nothing much happening. And John of the Cross says it's as if God first holds you in his arms and then lets you walk by yourself. And then you feel deprived, but it's part of your training to not be on the hands of in the embrace of God. It's like a mother who first feeds you of her breast, and at a certain point you have to learn to eat by yourself, to eat solid food and chew it. It's so we feel deprived of the mother when we are weaned, when we're not at the tit anymore. And it's summarized by a concept which doesn't even sound very spiritual anymore. We call purification of sins, or redemption of sins. Transpersonal psychology today is not interested in purification of sin. Transpersonal psychology wants higher consciousness, with a visionary life, creative life, inspiration. Transpersonal psychology wants to understand ecstasy, understand transpersonal states, and not very interested in becoming a good person. But maybe most psychologists who are interested in heavenly things and not interested in being good persons never come to heaven, because to get to heaven you need to become a good person first. We have a theoretical notion that the ego disappears when a person is enlightened. I am not completely sure about that. There is a part of a person that goes beyond the ego. Spirit is beyond ego, no doubt. But while the body lives, I think the ego also lives its own independent life. It is as if our ego helps us live among other egos. It has a function like the healthy skin. We can't live without a skin. And so there is a kind of myth about spiritual life that higher beings don't show an ego. I have the suspicion that higher beings have an ego that is even more visible than the usual, because they are free from it. They can let it be without trying to temper it, without trying to be virtuous. Many people don't go our way. people who are here are familiar with a particular perspective, one work proposition, which is fight against your ego, and then you will come to heaven. You will be rewarded from spiritual awakening by fighting against your ego. And I think that is valid. It's a great way, but it's not the only way it happens. And some saints have been struck by lightning, so to say. They have been opened by a divine influence and had the mystical experience as a gift, as a grace. And then the change of the ego comes later as a result of having seen something beyond the ego, having experienced non ego for even a few minutes, perhaps looked at from the outside. So we should bear in mind that our way is not the only way.